It is time to start ranking the top 20 New York Mets prospects. Let's go. And welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Wa2K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So with the football season now over, and now that we can move on to baseball, it's time to turn the page, and we are going to do something that we did a little bit last year on this channel. I did a series called the Mets Prospect Profiles, where I spent one video per prospect, talked about the pros, the cons, the projections, the scouting reports on that individual prospect. So I decided to switch it up a little more. I wanted to add a little more structure, a little more depth to it. So I decided to do my top 20 Mets prospects from 20 all the way to number 1. And I'm going to divide this over 3 different videos. On this video, we're going to do prospects 20 through 11, 10 through 6, and then 5 through 1. That way we could just break it up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to doing this. So what we're going to do is, just talk about who they are, where they came from. We'll talk about their history in the minor leagues, their pros, their cons, and, a projected date, what we can expect from them this year and going forward. All right, let the countdown begin. Number 20 for me is Luis Rodriguez, left-handed pitcher, 21 years old, 6'3", 190 pounds. The Mets signed him all the way back in July of 2019. So he has been in the Mets system for over 4 years now. Now, he missed out on the 2020 season, of course, because there was a pandemic. But then the Mets pushed him to Single-A St. Lucie in 2021. He struck out 16 and 12 1/3 innings, and he was looking to really get something going in 2022, only to undergo Tommy John surgery, and that knocked him out for the year. Okay, so but before he got hurt, what did we see? Well, he has a fastball that typically sits in the mid-90s, has touched as high as 97, and he has a slider that he throws in the low 80s that helps him generate some swings and misses. Now, he also has a changeup that he didn't really use all that much with St. Lucie, and that is a pitch I think he's really going to have to develop going forward. Here's the thing with Rodriguez. I know Tommy John surgery, it's not the death sentence that it used to be. There's a little bit more confidence that when pitchers have it, they're going to come back. But here's the thing. The Mets have another experience with Rodriguez because this past August, he had to be shut down due to forearm inflammation. That is really something to be concerned about. So there's still enough here for the left-handed pitcher to develop into maybe, say, a back-end starter or something like that. But the Mets are going to have to start off being very cautious with him, especially if he has any arm discomfort come spring training. On to number 19. And number 19 is Jeremyrodriguez, the shortstop, 17 years old. I got him ranked. Most people don't have him ranked in their top 20. I like the upside that I see here. This is the player the Mets acquired from Arizona for Tommy Pham at the trade deadline this past year in 2023. Rodriguez has shown quite a bit. Went on a late tear with the Mets Dominican Summer League affiliate, batted 19 for 45. That's .422 with 8 extra base hits, 11 walks, and only 4 strikeouts in 13 games. Very promising numbers. So he is very good. He's a left-handed hitter, and he's very good at protecting the plate. All right, he's got a 16.1% swinging strike rate. That is the 18th best among 299 DSL batters. Very good. Rodriguez also showing a little bit of gap power in the early stage of his career. Now, he's only 17 years old. There's a long way to go to see exactly what kind of pop he's really going to have, but there is some indication he's going to be able to hit the ball hard. Now, on defense, his best asset is his arm strength. But the question is, does he have the hands and the footwork to stick at shortstop? There's a long road ahead for Rodriguez, but there are definitely some building blocks entering just his second year of pro ball. So this is a player to watch for, but you're not going to see him with the Mets for a good 4 to 5 years if he makes it. Number 18, I'm going to talk about a slugger here named JsusBaez, a shortstop and third baseman, 18 years old, only 5'9", but 180 pounds. This guy's built like a tank. Signed in 2022. You know, a lot of hype surrounded other players in the Mets international signings in 2022. Guys like Simon Juan and Willie Fanias. Both of them got over $1 million to sign their deals. Baez, on the other hand, part of that class, got just $275K. Not so much, but he's the one grabbing the attention. His professional debut was June 6, 2023. He homered twice, and he still wound up the DSL Player of the Year for the Mets. He finished with a .242 average, 341 on base and 403 slugging, and hit 7 home runs in 54 games. So the power potential for Baez is legit. Great right-handed raw power. Right now it's his best on his pull side. He's really good at pulling the ball into left field. 56% of his batted balls went into left field. So here's the question, though. Once he starts facing some more seasoned arms, some pitchers who are a little bit more experienced, you know, they're going to start pitching him outside. Can Baez make the adjustment? Can he take the ball the other way? Okay, but, you know, 5'10", 180 pounds, entering his age 18 season, there is some real hope the slugging ability will grow to a plus level by the time he's ready. So let's see what happens. The Mets are also moving him around on defense at second base and third base as well. But he has a really good arm, a very strong arm, so I think third base could make sense. And also that seems to fit his power mold as well, playing third base. Number 17 is a player I've talked about on this channel before, and it's a pitcher, calvinziegler, right-handed pitcher, 21 years old, 6 foot, 205 pounds. He was a second-round pick in 2021. So last year he pitched in St. Lucie, or 2022, pitched in St. Lucie, 16 games, 46 innings, went 0-6, allowed 26 hits, 23 runs, 35 walks, 9 wild pitches, and 70 strikeouts. Now, the strikeouts are encouraging. It's a 13.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Very, very good. His whip, though, was 1.30, and his ERA was 4.44. Not so great. And then in 2023, he underwent surgery to address bone spurs in his right elbow. And then during his rehab, he tore his quadricep. That kept him out for pretty much the whole season. So 2023 was not a good year for young Calvin. Now, he has pretty good arm strength. His fastball sits around 93 miles an hour, but he could get it up to 97 when he wants to. Here's the thing with the fastball. It works best when he pitches it down in the zone, because that fastball, it's got a little bit of sink to it. Okay? And then he has a low 80s curveball that shows some bite and sort of a vertical bend. That's what we're seeing from that. It gets a lot of swings and misses. The Florida State League hitters are batting only .032 against it. So the curveball is a very good pitch. You know, I know the stats that I gave you didn't look very encouraging, but he does have some tools to work with. And Ziegler at this point also working on developing a changeup to try to keep hitters off balance. But the issue is, one of the biggest issues with him is the walks. He has a 17% walk rate. That won't cut it at single A, let alone in the major leagues. So expect him to be in St. Lucie to start the year. And at that point, you know, let's see what he winds up being. Will he be a starter? Will he be a reliever? I think he could reach the major leagues in 2025. He's a very flammable prospect. I do see a high upside, but I see some bust potential here as well. Number 16 is going to be justinjarvis, right-handed pitcher that the Mets got from the Brewers in exchange for Mark Canha. Jarvis is 6'2", 183 pounds, 23 years old. So this is an older prospect. This is one of the few pitching prospects the Mets have in their system that you could really see helping out quickly with the big league club. So the thing with Jarvis, he had just hit AAA in Nashville before the trade happened. Now, he throws from a high arm slot, and by doing that, he started to pick up a little bit more velocity. His fastball is about 93 to 94 miles an hour, but here's what's cool about that fastball. It rides up in the zone. It's got a little bit of rising action on it. You know, we talked about Ziegler throwing sort of a sinker. Jarvis has some high ride on it. He's also added in a split finger fastball. In the last 2 years, that fades well. So that gives you both the north option and the south option. Very, very interesting. He also has a good slider with a good break, both vertically and horizontally. And he's got sort of a looping curveball that gives him another option. So what's the issue with Jarvis? Why has he not made it to the majors? Well, he needs to locate the ball very well because of his command falters. When he catches too much of the plate, hitters have a history of, taking him out of the park. Last year, he allowed 19 home runs, or in 2022, he allowed 19 home runs, and that was the most allowed in the Midwest League. Now, there's a deep enough arsenal and starter quality control to put in the back end of a major league rotation, but he does give the Mets upper-level pitching depth a much-needed boost, but got to cut down on the home runs allowed. Number 15 is Ronaldhernandez. This is the catcher the Mets got in the David Robertson trade, so they acquired him from Miami. Hernandez is 5'11", 165 pounds, 20 years old. Very, very young. Now, with the Miami organization, he batted .236, .329, and .321. All right, so the on-base percentage was higher than the slugging percentage. That was in the rookie-level Florida Complex League, and that's when he made his debut in the United States last year at age 18. Now, Hernandez was doing pretty well in 2023 when the Miami dealt him to the Mets. The strength of Ronaldhernandez is his defense. He's very agile behind the plate, blocks errant balls very well, has solid to plus arm strength, and his accuracy has really grown in the last 2 years. He erased 33% of base stealers in 2022, which is pretty good. Pitchers really like working with him. He prepares very diligently for games. He can speak English or Spanish, which is always a nice little asset to have. Now, he hadn't really posted big offensive numbers till 23, but he's a switch hitter. He can hit decently from both sides of the plate and make good contact to all fields. He will work the at bat. He can work the count. He could provide, as far as power goes, maybe 12 to 15 home runs per season once he learns to lift pitches a little bit more. But this could be a situation maybe years down the road where if the Mets like Hernandez from a defensive perspective, he could be the backup. Or if his hitting comes around enough, you make him the catcher and maybe Francisco Alvarez becomes the DH. I mean, you could do that. So Ronaldhernandez, number 15. Number 14 is Brandonsproat, right-handed pitcher, 6'3", 215 pounds, 23 years old, second-round pick in 2023. Now, since his high school days, Sproat has really been tantalizing to scouts. He's got some great raw stuff. The consistent results have not always been there. So the Rangers took him in the 7th round out of high school in 2019. He opted to go to the University of Florida. In 2022, that year was a little bit up and down, but the Mets still selected him in the 3rd round. And then he decided to go back to Florida again. He wanted one more chance to impress the scouts. And the results were enough where the Mets drafted him again, this time in the 2nd round. Now, Sproat looks the part of a big league starter. He's 6'3", has a 4-pitch mix to get hitters out, and he's actually flirted with triple digits on his fastball. His fastball averages about 96 miles an hour, but he got it to about 97, 98 this past fall. Now, he's got some distinctive breaking pitches. He has a mid-80s slider. That really looks to profile as a legitimate out pitch. It swings, it misses a ton of bats, and he also has kind of a slower curveball as well. He's starting to tinker with with a changeup. He doesn't throw it as much, but it can be an average pitch. It seems like a lot of these pitchers, the key is getting the changeup down. That seems to be one of the biggest factors I've noticed. That and health. But Sproat, made some great strides in finding the strike zone last year. Showed some very solid command and fall ball. The fastball, it can get a little bit too straight at times, which allows hitters to get a hold of it. But the Mets felt he was the best pitcher available when they selected him 56th overall. Now, the key is to get him to be a little bit more consistent in the pros. All right, let's stick with the right-handed pitchers. Our number 13 prospect is domhamel. I talked about him last year on this channel as well. 6'2", 205 pounds, 25 years old. Not a young buck anymore. Drafted in the 3rd round in 2021. So Hamel came to the Mets after a very good career at Dallas Baptist. That's a school that's very well known for pitching analytics. They like to do a lot of scientific breakdowns. And now that the Mets have this whole pitching lab out, it may seem that this makes sense. So 2022 went very well for Hamel. He pitched in Low A St. Lucie, High A Brooklyn, earned the organization's Pitcher of the Year award. I've heard some comparisons to Seth Lugo. So he throws from like a 3/4 arm slot with that long action through the back. He has sort of that drop and drive motion with a low release. And the issue with that is the command comes and goes depending on how his pitchers are moving on any given day. So he has a 4-pitch mix, got the 93 to 94 mile an hour fastball. It gets a little bit of vertical break, so it has that upper ride just like Justinjarvis does. His slider, though, is really, really good. He throws that about 82, 83 miles an hour. It rotates like crazy. All right, the thing is, with that slider, though, it needs to be harnessed because the ball moves so much. It's like Seth Lugo with his curveball. So Hamel could probably get away with a fastball slider and be a reliever, but he's going to have a third pitch to really be that great starter. All right, he's got an average curveball. It loops and hangs more than you would like to see. Also has a changeup that needs a little bit of refining. So Hamel should be in Syracuse this year. I could see him maybe being a bullpen arm at the very least. I could see Hamel doing that. All right, number 12 is jacobreimer, third baseman, 6'2", 205 pounds, 19 years old, 4th-round pick in 2022. Now, Reimer has shown some promising signs early, batting .261 with a home run, triple, and twice as many walks as strikeouts, and that was in 7 games in rookie ball. So Reimer brings a really good physical presence to the plate, and he's shown some raw power to really match that, whether it's batting practice, whether it's in-game situations. Reimer's starting to get a little bit of notoriety, but he also knows the strike zone very well, and he has a very simple swing, simple approach to keep the strikeouts down. Okay, now Reimer was a shortstop in high school. That wasn't going to happen because he's not very fast. So the Mets immediately moved him over to third base, and he should have a solid enough arm and tools to play there, but his fielding could use a little bit more. It needs some improvement. Now, we'll see what may happen with third base with the Mets. There's a lot of questions with that position. You know, you have Brett Beatty, you have Mark Vientos currently, but much further down the road, Reimer may help the Mets to stay well-stocked at third base. And the final prospect I'm going to talk about today is somebody that a lot of people know about and are getting excited about, but I've got him at number 11, and it's mikevasil, the right-handed pitcher, 6'5", 225 pounds, 23 years old. So he played 3 years at Virginia and was pretty inconsistent. Mets drafted him in the 8th round in 2021. He dealt with a little bit of forearm tightness in 22, and then the Mets went to work on him. They changed his arsenal. So Vasil was throwing a 2-seam fastball. The Mets eliminated that. They had him focus on his 4-seam fastball, and now it's hitting up to 96 miles an hour. He's got 3 secondary pitches with a sort of a cutter/slider, a curveball, and a change. The thing with Vasil, and the reason I only have him at number 11, is because he is sort of like that jack of all trades, master of none. Okay, he doesn't have that true plus out pitch, but he knows how to pitch and he knows how to locate. So I don't see an ace in this pitcher, but I can see a mid to back of the rotation pitcher. So just because he's maybe one of the first prospects on this list to hit the majors doesn't mean he necessarily has the highest upside. So I think he's going to start in Syracuse as well, but it's very, very possible that with the Mets, you know, with a starting pitching rotation that is not what I would call elite, it is very possible that he could see some time on the big league club this year. All right, well, those are the first 10 prospects on my list. I will post the next 2 videos over the course of this week. Hey, feel free to please hit the like button. Show your support. It means a lot to me. Please share with a friend as well. If you're a Mets fan, or if you know somebody who's a Mets fan that might like it, give it to them as well. We're on the march to 1,000 subscribers. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching today. We'll see you right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.